Why did you call him Dennis the Menace?
Because he was a high-strung, like Dennis was always on that little sugar rush, coffee, you know, and he was dipping, so he had that caffeine, nicotine syndrome going in the morning, and he was, you know, he was high-strung, and, you know, he was always getting into something, you know. That's why I call him Dennis. He was one of those kind of guys.
And in what ways would you guys occasionally get into it?
His general philosophy was more is better. The more weapons you have, the more plays, the more passes, the more, the bigger the arsenal. He thought like that. Where I was, I'd like a little less and execute it better. And that's the way I had always coached. So I was never a more is better guy. I was always less is more efficient if you can get to it. So I'd say that was something that we had to kind of come to an agreement on.
How did you come to the agreement?
I would give him examples. Let's say he had 50 pass plays on the game plan. And I'd say, well, you think those passes are any good? And he'd say, yeah, I wouldn't have them on there. And then I'd say, well, if we run them all twice, that's 100 passes. Do you think we're going to get to do that in the game? And trying to emphasize to him that we need to take the ones that we really like the best, and let's work on those, and let's plan to use them multiple times if we can. So I would say that was the basic difference that I had with Sean. He was a little more is better guy.
How challenging is it to bring somebody along like that in a positive,
well, I
effective
liked
way?
him because he's very energetic. I could tell he loved football. He was intent on developing himself as a coach. He was very, very arduous in his studying and in investigating new schemes and new things that he thought could be of benefit. And when you see that trait, then you want to help him get through the clutter and get to the essence of what you're going to try to do, because only so many things you can do.
What made it evident he was intent on developing as a coach?
You can just tell. It's like your own instincts. He was eager, he was punctual, he was on time, he was energetic with the players and the system and practice, and he just had those traits.
Sean, I believe, calls you on Father's Day. How meaningful is that to you?
It means a lot. I have a lot of players that do that as well, and it's very meaningful because it tells you that there's an impact there, however it was. And when you start getting calls from 10, 12 people that you're not related to on Father's Day, that means a great deal to you. Sometimes it's hard to get the words out, but they tell you they love you and are grateful for your help, and they don't forget. This is not 1 year, you know. This is 10, 12, 15 years, these guys. They do it. It's very meaningful to you.
You mentioned him being intent when he was a younger coach working for you on continuing to grow as a coach. How have you seen him evolve over the years?
He has so much, his experience is so much deeper, and he has a vast knowledge now. I've had all these different players. He's gone through a cycle where he had a championship team, and now he's having to kind of refurbish and start over, with the exception of his quarterback, which he's going to have to do that at some time very soon. And it's a different cycle, and until a coach has been through a couple of those cycles, you really don't know the whole gamut. You just, the first one, you're just trying to get things organized and do well, and then you realize that some of these pieces and players that you have, it's time to move on from them. That can be difficult to do. Some of us don't do it well. Some of us wait too long, and then you go to the next cycle, and now it's like starting over.
What do you think makes him successful?
I think he's bright. I think he is pretty analytical in a lot of areas. I think he can see things for what they are and not what he'd like them to be. And I think he's developed this. I think all coaches now have this reservoir of players in their head that they've had success with or are currently having success with, and you're trying to integrate similar guys into your system that you have seen have the traits that you can utilize with what you're doing. And I think only experience can get you that mentality. And only trial and error, only mistake after mistake will get you to the point where you say, I'm not doing that again. I did that once, I'm not doing it again.
He gets his first head coaching job with the New Orleans Saints after thinking he was probably going to be the Packers' next head coach. He asks you for advice shortly after departing for the Saints job. What advice do you give him?
Get good people working for you. Make sure you're evaluating the squad that was there. Be very, very definitive on the type of player acquisition with your scouting department. You got to make it crystal clear to them what you're looking for, and put a good structure in place. Demand punctuality and effort from your players. And he pretty much, I think, had a pretty good head start on some of that stuff. But the old saying, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And once you put that hat on, you're in a different position. And, when you walk into that building every day, there are a lot of eyes that are on you. And, it's not just the players, it's the coaches, it's the trainer, it's the video man, it's the equipment guys, everybody's looking to see, well, what's he like today? And, you have to be cognizant of that.